Okay, take two on the handheld loop method for doing a two-loop braid left-handed. This is a way to have more control of the braid. With long loops, with only two loops, you have very little control anyway, especially with all the twist this braid gets. But with long loops, you have more control if you have the loops are opened wide, because then that makes a nice big angle on the fell. The apex of the braid is down there at the fell, and it will tighten better or more easily. So I'm going to reach through the left loop, since I'm doing this left-handed, and grab the top of the right loop and pull it through. Meanwhile, the right hand is going to take over the left loop without a turn. The right loop came through with a turn, the left loop went over without one. Now I spread widely but gently to tighten. And I see that I actually started this braid wrong. I think I'm going to undo that last move. I seem to have started it. Well, I guess I just won't worry about it. Yeah, that's back to normal, I think. Okay, let's do it over again. I'm going to reach over, grab the top of the right loop, switch loops, tighten. Opening, and when I tighten, I open those loops. It really does help to have them nice and wide. Second move, reaching over, switching loops, tighten, reach through, over. The other hand can come in any way it wants to into the left loop. Tighten. When I say tighten, I just mean stretch apart. You're not pulling especially hard. Tightens the braid, but you don't do it very hard. Over. Doing it in a somewhat contorted way to try and prevent slack in the loops. If I did it slackly, if I let the loops fall, it works, but you have less, the braid will be a bit messier. So I'm holding it gently but taut, and it looks a little contorted that way, but it makes it better, I think, a better pattern. Okay. A little bit getting the rhythm of this, even though it's left-handed. Here we go. Couple more moves. It's very interesting doing this, looking through the camera as I do it. Okay. There we go. Again, this is a two-loop braid done with long loops, so I'm using a handheld method. I earlier demonstrated, if I can get down to the bottom to where the loops are shorter, then I can demonstrate the finger-held method. That's what you would do when the loops get shorter and your hands don't fit in them as well. Then you would switch to holding these loops on just the index fingers, or maybe the index and middle finger together. This braid, I have not actually taught it to children, but I think they could learn it. It's not a braid for perfectionists. You wouldn't want to, don't say anything about not holding it slackly or whatever with a child. They'll love their braid no matter how it turns out. But I think that a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old could probably learn this if they were interested enough to do it. It's fun because it's so fast, and you really get a kind of pretty design when you use a loop, two loops, a loop, one color on one side, one hand, and one color on the other. You get a kind of a nice chevron design. And if you use, I've only actually done two patterns. This one with a chevron, and then if each loop is composed of two colors, so say I had tied two colors together at the bottom here, and this was red and this was black, and both loops were like that, you'd get kind of a zigzag pattern. So there's a lot of different, well, no, there aren't a lot of different patterns you can make with only two loops, but there are a few, which is sort of surprising. Each loop is two separate braiding elements, so you really have four color possibilities. Okay, so down at the bottom where the loops are shorter, that's when you want to be doing the finger-held loop method, and that's like this. You put the loop on, reach over, get the other one through, tighten. For some reason at this point one of my loops is longer than the other, which feels a bit awkward, so I'm going to help by holding it with the thumb. This gray loop is a bit longer than the other one. When you get down to the bottom of this braid, it's usually, let's straighten the tension out a little bit. At the bottom of the braid, you can usually just let go of the loops because they will twist on themselves. You've given them so much twist doing this braid that you don't even need to tie a knot. There it goes. That one. There it goes. If you were then to cut the bottoms of your loops, then you would want to tie a knot before you did that. So the braid is done. It has quite a bit of twist to it, especially near the bottom. It's usually curlier than this, I think, because the multicolored thread is a very limp silk knitting yarn. It doesn't have a lot of, it doesn't seem to have a lot of curl the way it usually does. Anyway, if you wanted to remove the curl, you just dampen the braid and let it dry straight, or maybe iron it, and you can get a nice, you'll see a nice, let's see how far I should be for the automatic focus. You get a nice chevron design. This one's a little confused by the multicolored nature of the other yarn. There you go. Okay.